Welcome, folks, to the post-game show. The Eagles fell to the Vikings 38-20, and the Eagles' playoff hopes just might be in jeopardy. Now, before we go into this, I want to go ahead and just say congratulations to the Vikings. They were the better team, and they showed it today. Now, that being said, that's kind of the main takeaway here. So if you're a Vikings fan, then you can, go ahead and click off or whatever, unless you just want to see Eagles fans salty, which, after the NFC Championship game, I don't blame you for staying and watching and getting some enjoyment out of watching a Eagles fan on the internet just be salty as all hell. Now I'm going to do things a little different than I did the last 2 weeks, as I did actually jot down my notes as to what I thought was happening throughout the game, and so I wrote down some things I'm going to go through here. I did not cover the first quarter because I actually missed the first quarter. I was out, and then I came home around, it was like maybe 14 minutes into the second quarter or something like that. So this is all based off of that, and while I didn't have any notes on the first quarter, the color commentators did reference some stuff in the first quarter, so I at least had some of that knowledge, but not enough to make any sort of comments on the first quarter. So we're going to skip right to quarter two, where one thing I noticed is obviously this is another slow start for the offense, and Jason Peters was hurt, so they had to put in rookie Andre Dillard, and he does have some room to grow, and constantly throughout this game, the Vikings secondary kept on attacking him due to his inexperience, and honestly, I do not blame them for going after the rookie. And however, I am hopeful that he is able to grow and develop, and hopefully be able to replace Jason Peters, as pretty much every Eagle fan knows that he's not going to be in the NFL much longer at this point. The defense has played horribly on the Vikings' first drive in the second quarter, and the secondary was just horrible during this too. And I was thinking, is this a karma game? And what I mean by a karma game is that it always seems whenever a defensive player talks a bunch of crap, the very next game, the QB just instantly lights up that defense. Now I was seeing because Zach Brown made some comments about Kirk Cousins on how he's the weakest part of the Vikings offense, when you really should be talking crap, because A, this secondary freaking sucks, and secondly, Kirk Cousins has pretty much made the Eagles his bitch. That's right, I said it as an Eagles fan, okay? Like the last 5 times he's played against the Eagles, he's thrown for over 300 yards and some shit. I'm sorry for my language, but as you can see, this is going to be very salty, so I'm probably going to do a very bad job of filtering myself if I even do attempt to do that. But yeah, this is why you shouldn't really talk crap, especially if you're a defensive player and you're talking crap about the quarterback. That being said, the third drive in this quarter was fantastic, or actually third drive overall for the Eagles, I believe, was fantastic, and there was a great QB option call, and I was a huge fan of that. And then this led to also on the next Vikings drive, there was a great defensive stop on their third drive, and then there's that awesome Graham sack on the third down, and then we also later on had a crucial interception from Sanjao Andrew. Why did I butcher that name? I swear, it's so freaking easy to pronounce. And then when we get the ball back, we get into a good rhythm, and then what the hell was that fake field goal attempt? It's like they weren't even prepared to do the play. I mean, yeah, and Peterson may have thought of this in the head and in a 500 IQ play, but the players on the field didn't look damn prepared. Elliott literally looked like he just shit the bed. What the hell kind of call is that? Especially when you're down by 3 possessions at the point. The score is 3-17. 3-17, and you're going into the halftime down by 3 possessions. Kick the damn field goal. Don't try any of this cutesy trick play bullshit when you're down by that many possessions. Just kick the damn field goal. And then when you did that, it just threw away all the momentum that was built up at that point. Just kick the damn field goal. Okay. Quarter 3. Great opening drive. There was more Wentz magic as he's, doing his awesome escaping from the pressure thing to find Alshon Jeffrey in the end zone. And then you had Sanders had another great reception with yards after the catch. Sanders has shown he's actually he's really good at least at receiving. Though I'm not going to make any comments about his rushing because it's been mostly the Jordan Howard show this season. However, he hasn't been terrible. Now, there was a penalty that was a pass interference call. That is just freaking bullshit, okay? There is no way around it. Pretty much, if anyone that was watching the damn game knew that the Eagle wide receiver and the Viking corner and vice versa has pretty much been going at it all game, them like locking their arms and shit. And then all of a sudden it's called a pass interference on this particular play, which was just, it's like this crap was happening throughout all the game and right in front of you, and you decide just now to call the damn penalty. Well, thanks for being incompetent, officiating crew. You freaking hear that? Alright. Okay. Now, thankfully, there was a great stop. Granted, it was due to the Vikings committing 2 very drive-killing penalties in a row that my anger on that particular play subsided, but still, it's something that needs to be addressed because let's be freaking real. The officiating for not just for this game. I'm not saying this is something that applies exclusively to the Eagles because I very well know that doesn't. That the officiating has just been damn terrible all year, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. God forbid if you're Clay Matthews. Now, anyways, taking that cheap shot aside. There was on the next Eagles possession, there was a great catch from Alshon Jeffrey that led to a field goal. It's like we'd only be down by 1 point at that point if it wasn't for that fake field goal. Now, then immediately the defense gives us several big plays on the next drive that would lead to a Minnesota touchdown. Now, we are going to get into quarter 4, and oh boy. Now, the first note of this note is credit to the Vikings fans here as they caused a delay of game penalty, which is kudos to them. It's just something I feel like I need to point out. That's a good job on the fans' part. Now, then Wentz gets sacked the play after, which kills the drive, and then Johnson, who was the player that sacked Carson Wentz, immediately tries to punch out the ball. After Wentz is down, after the play is dead, which that's another missed. You're going to call the penalty earlier, but you're not going to call this. This was just another blown call, and is one that definitely I think could have impacted the game. Granted, I think we still probably would have lost, but it's still one to note because of how significant it is. Because that penalty gets called, the Eagles now have a first down, and they're in potentially field goal range. That's something that I think is worth noting there. And then the Vikings proceed to tear apart the defense, and even our run defense breaks at this point, and then Vikings score again, and the game is pretty much just put away at this point. 38-20. Actually, 31-20, I think. Not sure. Okay, at first I was dumb. I didn't put the score in my notes when I was doing this, so forgive me if I sound kind of dumb here. But anyways, there was a great catch by Ertz to keep a drive alive, and then on the very next play, he turns it over because, of course, that's how this game would freaking go. And then the next Eagles drive, Carson Wentz turns it over with an interception that honestly looked like a fourth throw, and the team pretty much just gives up at this point, and it's only halfway through the fourth quarter. And then at the very last 2 minutes, credit to Malcolm Jenkins for actually giving a damn by forcing a fumble, but it does not matter as it was in garbage time. So overall, the Eagles, that pretty much this whole season's just been like Carson Wentz putting this team on his back. And the Eagles have not lived up to the hype so far that they claim to be in the preseason, like talking about how like, oh, we're better than the 2017 team. Well, from what I've seen, this is pretty much on par with the 2016 team. Yeah, I'm talking about the team that was with Wentz in his rookie year. That's kind of the feeling I get when I watch this team currently. Now, for the players, Carson Wentz went 26 for 40, had a 65% completion percentage, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He had a pretty good game. Howard had some runs, but overall the running game was stuffed today. Both running backs, actually. Credit to the Vikings defense, they completely eliminated the two-headed attack. Only 55 yards combined between them, with Howard gained 46 yards and averaged 3.8 yards per carry, and Sanders had 6 yards and averaged only 2. I should say Howard had 49 yards, on the day. The ball, and as far as the passing attack goes, the ball did get spread around more, and Howard had a great game as receiving back. He was actually the leading receiver today with 3 receptions, 83 yards, 28.7 yards per catch, and 1 touchdown. And Nelson Aguilar had a better game than he did these last few weeks with 4 catches, 42 yards. And even though the ball did get spread around more, some of the other wide receivers like Matt Collins and J.J. Whiteside did underwhelm me yet again. It's also worth noting that Wentz had all those throws because of the stuffed running attack. So I would imagine had the Eagles won the battle in the trenches, he probably would have had more attempts, but I think that's just more of being Captain Obvious. Now, other than the Andrews interception, which I mentioned earlier, the only defensive player that's I think worth mentioning today is Malcolm Jenkins, who had 7 tackles, 2 assists, and 1 forced fumble. So yeah, he was the only defensive player that I think is worth mentioning. Now, going to the Vikings. All right, this is Kirk Cousins, the same player that Zach Brown called trash, even though Kirk Cousins has pretty much owned the Eagles his entire career, and this is a fact. I'll say, as an Eagles fan, he has pretty much owned us for pretty much his whole career. He went 22 for 29 with a completion passage percentage of 76%, 333 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So really good game on him, even after the interception. Now, unlike the Eagles' running game, now it's worth noting that both defenses are pretty good run defenses, but the Vikings were actually able to break through ours, and the running backs on their side combined for over 100 yards, with the rookie Madison gaining 65 yards and 4.5 yards per carry, while Dalvin Cook had 41 yards and 2.6 yards per carry and 1 touchdown. Diggs just torched the Eagles today. 7 receptions, 167 yards, 23.9 yards per a catch, and 3 touchdowns. And 3 of those touchdowns that were on like 50 plus, and all 3 of those came on like, I think it was like 40 plus yard touchdowns. So, yeah. And then Adam Thielen had 6 receptions, 57 yards, 9.5 yards per catch, and 1 touchdown. It's also, I would like to throw out this stat that the Eagles are 3-3, and Wentz on the season has had 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So, yeah, poor Wentz at this point. He's just been it's like he's been carrying the team on his back at this point. Next week, the Eagles play Dallas in Jerry World on Sunday Night Football, and it's a game that is a very important divisional game. Regardless of whether Dallas loses to New York today, the winner of that game will determine who will be currently up on top of the NFC East going into the halfway point of the season. And so it's very important. So at best, we lost this week, Dallas loses, and then we beat them next week, and then at worst, the Dallas Cowboys win, and then they win again next week, and we're behind by 3 games because they have the tiebreaker. Now, going into next week, I'm honestly not very optimistic about this game. Seeing what we just saw today, Dak can just throw a Hail Mary to Amari Cooper pretty much literally every single play, and then that will probably win them the game at this point with how trash the secondary plays. Like, seriously, that is how easy it is to beat the secondary, and this week showed it. There's pretty much nothing they can do. I don't even know when I know there's some injured corners that are coming back. I don't know even when they come back at this point. And when they come back, they're probably going to be rusty. So that's also the other thing I'm going to mention is that Sidney Jones did have a very terrible game this week. Though I'm hoping that it was just for coming back from an injury and the fact that he is technically by NBA standards he would be a rookie. Because I think this is actually the first time. Isn't this the first time he's like taken the field or something like that? But yeah. But yeah, I think the Eagles, I think I'm going to join the board of, I'm not even going to join like the hype, not the hype, but like the crowd of people just spamming every single Eagles post to go after Jalen Ramsey, because I feel like that trade is not going to happen. But I do feel the Eagles need to pursue a corner at this point. Because pretty much no one on our defense can cover. I mean, Peterson said it the best in his halftime adjustments for Stephon Diggs. Cover him. Like, it's pretty much that simple. It's like you can't... I mean, defensive schemes and stuff cannot stop corners that cannot cover for crap. That's my takeaway. Now, hope you all enjoyed this very salty affair. And let me know, fellow Eagle fans out there, how you're feeling about the Dallas game, because like Peter Parker in Infinity War, I don't feel so good. So, alright. I guess I'll go ahead and still lead us out with our fight song, just cause. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, on the road to victory. EAGLES, Eagles! Yeah, so thank you all for watching, and I'll hope to see you all in the next one.